All right, good afternoon. I'm here to provide an update in the missing person case involving Fanta Xayavong. Unfortunately, for the second time in a week, I'm here to report that we found a missing person deceased. Fanta's case began at the end of May when a tip came in to the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension's human trafficking tip line. That tip was from a concerned citizen, somebody who knew Fanta and was concerned for her welfare. They reported to us that Fanta was in an abusive relationship. They stated that Fanta was in a relationship with Joseph Jorgenson, and they had lost contact with her, and they were concerned for her safety. Our investigators received this tip, and they were in the middle of another investigation where Joseph Jorgenson was a person of interest. So they immediately became concerned for her safety and opened a missing persons case. That investigation led us to this week, where investigators went up to the 9100 block of University Avenue Northwest in Coon Rapids and served a search warrant on a storage unit located at that location. Investigators located what they believed to be human remains inside the storage unit. Our forensic services unit, as well as the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office of Anoka, responded to the storage unit and recovered those remains. They were brought back to the medical examiner's office, where today those remains were identified as Fanta Xayavong. The investigators today also served a search warrant in Shoreview at a residence. That search warrant was conducted by St. Paul investigators who were serving the warrant at a home that was previously owned by Joseph Jorgenson. We believed he was in that home until approximately September of 2022. The search warrant was conducted with the hopes of finding any evidence in relation to the death investigation involving Fanta Xayavong. Like I stated before, this all began with a tip. It was a very important tip, one that put us on the path to finding Fanta. We would encourage anyone with any information about anyone who is missing that has had contact with Joseph Jorgenson to call the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension tip line at 1-877-996-6222. An email also can be sent to them if that's easier at bca.tips@state.mn.us. This investigation is still active and ongoing. We don't have any further updates to share, but we will take calls from anybody that has any information related to this case or any other cases that are ongoing right now. Keeping that in mind, I'll introduce Chief Henry, who'd like to make a couple comments regarding this investigation.
Thank you. My name is Axel Henry. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of St. Paul. On behalf of our department and our entire city, we want to offer our condolences to the victims, families, and friends. We'd also like to extend that same concern to our entire community. Cases like these are horrific, and they impact everyone in our community. I want to acknowledge all of the different law enforcement agencies that have been assisting with this. This case will likely span numerous cities and counties, and the law enforcement community has come together as a whole to assist in investigating every aspect of it. And that's why the BCA's missing persons tip line is so important, and we strongly encourage folks to do that. I'm also extremely proud of the men and women of our department for the work they have done, whether it's investigators, forensic staff unit, the SWAT team, and other civilian sworn professionals who work for our department have been diligent in this case, and their work has been simply amazing. And it's truly important for the families of these victims, but also for our community at large. Thankfully, cases like this are extremely rare, but they are reminders to all of us that monsters can be real. And we are committed, as your police department, to keeping our community safe from harm. we want to thank everyone who has helped with this, and I strongly encourage anyone that has information related to this to come forward. We want your information. We will not be idle in the face of these types of dangers. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Keeping in mind that we don't have a lot of updates to share, I'll take some questions if you have them. I just don't know if I can share anything else.
I guess, could you just really clarify for us? I mean, has Joseph Jorgenson been charged? Is he under investigation?
Obviously, he is a person of interest in this case. He has not been charged. Investigators are still doing the hard work of trying to determine the facts of this case. When that work is done, we will forward it to the appropriate authorities, whether that be in Anoka or Ramsey or whatever city that we decide we identify a possible crime scene. We will do the work with the attorney's office from those areas to hold the person accountable, whoever the investigation identifies, and who could that be. So I believe it was late May 25th, if I'm correct. She was reported to the BCA tip line, and that's when our report was opened that she was a missing person.
So you don't know how long before that she was missing?
It could have been a long time. I talked last week that some people had not seen her or had contact with her since 2021. I believe I stated last week that her family had not had contact with her. Yeah, I would let the medical examiner speak to that. That would be something that they would do, and they're still in the process of looking at the remains, and I think a lot of those questions are still being answered.
So is it just the remains of the two women so far that have been located?
Yes, last week and this week, yes.
Where does it go?
This recent one? Yes, I believe that the Midwest Medical Examiner Office has ruled this a homicide, but
So it was a tip that generated Fanta Xayavong. What led you to object to that story?
well, that's part of the investigation, and what led us to the investigation will become public at some point, but those facts of the investigation we're not at liberty to discuss right now.
And how many other missing persons
We don't know, and I think that's the part that we want to know. We want people to call us. If somebody, this started as a simple tip, somebody that cared for somebody and made that phone call, and it led to her discovery. Unfortunately, she was deceased. Hopefully somebody can call and we can get ahead of this curve.
What can you say about this Friday and last Friday, these two cases on the surface sounding so similar in this part of the investigation? What would you say is happening in St. Paul there?
Well, we don't know where this incident occurred. I can say that this is, I think it's nothing short of horrific. And the officers and investigators have been doing everything they can to identify and hold the person that's responsible accountable. Joseph Jorgenson has been charged in regards to Manny Starren's disappearance and eventual murder, and we would hope that someone would be identified in this case. Obviously, he is a person of interest, but we are not at the point yet where anybody has been charged in this case.
So you said person of interest. Do police believe he's was likely the person who killed her at this point?
We don't know. He is just a person of interest. He has a connection to her, as well as Manny did. As my understanding, yes. At some point, both of them were in a relationship. Whether it was at the same time, separate, I think that is yet to be determined.
This is a human trafficking case. Can you elaborate at all about where that been used?
I don't necessarily know if it was, they called the human trafficking tip line, whether there was human trafficking involved or if it was somebody that was just reaching out to a number to report her missing. I obviously believe that he thought something nefarious was going on. That's why this person called. But in the end, what it was is still being under investigation as far as what she was doing. It is not, for somebody to not be in contact with their friends and relatives, it's not illegal. People can go about their lives and choose not to contact people, but we're trying to find the circumstances here where there's a family out there that's grieving the loss of a loved one, and the circumstances surrounding that must be very painful.
How cooperative?
What's that?
How cooperative has Jorgenson been?
I don't believe he's made a statement.
And where were these remains compared to the first remains?
They're both in a storage unit. As far as where they were located in a storage unit, I'm not at liberty to discuss. It's still part of the investigation. It's still ongoing. Yes, separate investigations, yes. Correct. The storage unit from last week was in Woodbury. The search warrant yesterday was in Coon Rapids. No. We're looking for people with any information to call us. If there is anything else out there, we want to know, and we want to try to make a difference for some other family that might be out there wondering.
I imagine that's a message to storage unit owners. If this guy has a file there,
Yeah.
is it
Unknown. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I understand. Yes,
the sheriff?
they could. If anybody, yes, we'll take anything, any tip.
Was there any signs on the exterior of the storage unit, like a smell or blood or anything that someone could
Unknown. The investigation is what led them to the storage unit. Nothing anybody from the outside had indicated finding or detecting of any matter. I'm sorry, the question one more time. Yeah, as far as how they were found, it's still, I don't have the details from the medical examiner's office of how they were found and what state they were in, so I think that is still yet to be determined by the medical examiner.
Is there anything other than the fact that 2 people have been found killed that, or dismembered or however, but is there anything else that would indicate there could be more people, or is it just...
No, we're just putting out the plea for anybody with information to call us. All right, thank you very much.